Hi, welcome to another English session, and this time it's another interesting and challenging topic on evaluating narratives. This session will prepare you on how to evaluate narratives based on how the author developed the setting and characters. So when we say setting, the setting of the story refers to the geographic location, that is, a place or scene and time within a narrative. So there are two things, location and time. Setting makes the story vivid or clear and interesting. Usually, the setting is not said directly. Instead, clues are given for the readers to infer. So, in a fairy tale, usually the setting starts with once upon a time or long time ago. In some stories, however, the setting can change. Time may not be described directly and can move back and forth. The place where the scene is happening can be changed abruptly. For example, in the story of Cinderella, which I know that you are all familiar with, time is the long ago in the past, there was a young girl named Cinderella. Of course, the place is in Cinderella's home in a faraway kingdom. But the setting changed when Cinderella's father died. Another example, as the sun set in the evening sky, Ryan slowly turned and walked his way home. All was silent and still. Through the window, he could see her older sister, Bella, watching a Korean movie on the television. Bella came home from the city where she is currently studying. Though it was lonely at times for Ryan being alone in their home, seeing Bella once a month makes him happy. So from the story, the time is of course evening and the place is Ryan and Bella's home. So it's very easy to identify the setting in terms of time and place. Of course, we also have to consider and to enumerate the characters. Characters in the story refers to the persons, animals, as if it is a fable, beings, creatures, or things around which the story revolves. Writers use characters to perform the action and speak dialogue, moving the story along a plot line from the beginning, rising action, climax up to the falling action, and the ending of the story. Characters are also an important element in narratives. And in characters, there are some traits of the characters in a story shown in various ways. So the characters in a story are shown in terms of descriptive words. For example, Ryan is playful and outspoken. So Ryan as the character is described as playful and outspoken. Another trait of a character shown in a story is by actions of the characters themselves. For example, Irvin sat under the tree. He is happy being with the dragonflies that dart around the plants and the spiders that make the web among the leaves. So there are actions. Another way is through words. By the words coming from the other characters or the narrator in the story. For example, that girl should be more friendly. She keeps to herself most of the time. So those are the ways in which traits of the characters are shown or demonstrated in the narrative text. Through descriptive words, through actions or words from the other characters of the story. So let's try this one. Shella was alone at home when the doorbell rang. Jumping up from her seat, she ran to open the door. "Have you tried this brand of coffee before?" asked the stranger. Shella was frightened. She was actually expecting her mother at the door. She wanted to shut the door, but it was too late. The salesman had already pushed his way into the house. So from the story, the setting of course is Sheila's home and the characters Sheila and the stranger or the salesman. In evaluating narratives, we also have to consider an opinion. An opinion of the reader, the listener, an explanation or judgment about the story or narratives on what you have read, but is not necessarily based on fact or knowledge. Remember that your opinion in evaluating narratives may not necessarily be based on fact or knowledge, but it must answer the questions how and why. Question in the given story, in the story of Sheila. If you were Sheila, would you also open the door? Why or why not? So you might say, no, I will not open the door because I'm not yet sure who knocks. Another question, what do you think might happen at the end of the story? You would probably say, I think Sheila would be in trouble. So that's an example of how to put across your opinion. In what I have learned as a manifestation of your learning, let's try this one. The choices are characters, time and place, writers, opinion, vivid, interesting, and traits. The setting of the story is the blank of the story. Of course, that is the time and place. So it's very important that when you identify the setting, there should be time and place. And the story refers to the persons, animals, being, creatures, or things around which the story revolves, and that is referring to characters. An explanation or judgment about the story or narratives on what you have read, but this is not necessarily based on fact or knowledge, and of course, that signifies an opinion. Are characters to perform the action and speak dialogue, moving the story along a plot line? And these are traits. Setting of the story makes the story vivid and interesting. Okay, let's take another example. The Educated Man and the Peasant. From Stories to Get by G.D. Morris. Once upon a time, there was a young man from Bucharest who had just finished university. He was proud of his knowledge and smart, and so decided to leave the big city and make his way teaching peasants in the countryside. Immediately, he was met with difficulties. He found that people didn't take too kindly to being considered more stupid than he, for he was 22 and most of the people there that he met were much older. If he was to teach them, he would have proved that he was smarter. Feeling confident of his powers, he made a wager with the peasant. If the peasant couldn't answer the educated man's question, then the peasant would have to hand over 3 li. The educated man chuckled to himself. This is going to be easy money. The entire village gathered to witness the quiz. The educated man asked the first question. What is the capital of England? The peasant answered, I don't know. I will give you 3 li. London. The people gasped. They were impressed. The educated man pocketed the money and asked the second question. What moves very fast but doesn't look like it is moving at all? The peasant answered, I don't know. I will give you 3 li. The earth. The educated man pocketed the money and asked a third question. What goes up in the day and down at night? The peasant answered, I don't know. I will give you 3 li. The educated man had taken from the peasant a total of 9 li. Now the peasant was poor and his wife started to cry. However, at his turn, the peasant also wished to ask the educated man a question. But if he could not answer it, he would have to hand over 1,000 li to the peasant. The educated man quickly agreed and thought to himself, "This surely a fool. What goes in the morning with 2 legs, at noon with 4 legs, and in the evening with 6 legs?" There was a long silence, and everyone was staring at the educated man. He searched his brain for a long time, but to no avail. He did not know the answer and had a choice but to hand over 5,000 li, which was everything he had. Afterwards, the educated man was curious and so asked, "So what goes on the morning with 2 legs, at noon with 4, and in the evening with 6?" The peasant answered, "I don't know. I will give you 3 li." So from this story, let's try this one. Let us enumerate 3 characters in no particular order. So it's very easy. We have also the educated man, the wife, and the peasant. And let's try this question by explaining based on the given selection, by explaining your opinion. Who was smarter, the educated man or the peasant? So you have to choose between the two. And of course, you have to justify your opinion. Okay, so I think the lesson is very easy and clearly explained, and I hope you get it right. And thank you for watching. See you on my next video tutorial lessons.